America's Next Top Model, the documentary. I knew when we saw the trailer for this show.
Yes.
This show didn't age well. I knew that. I was
Right.
like, wow, there was a lot of things that happened that were problematic. I had no idea
Yeah.
the degree in which things were so dark and so wrong and so traumatizing, and what these girls endured.
Yeah.
I watched it in real time.
Yeah.
But the lens now on it is just, I feel sick that I participated and was a part of watching this show at the time.
Yeah.
For entertainment.
Totally.
When I see the things that these girls were put through, because we should have known better. Don't you think we should have known better?
Well, of course I think we should have, but let's not forget that when ANTM first debuted, it was 2002. First of all, I was like graduating high school. So I think my adult lens is very different than my 18-year-old like looking for smut lens. But also it was an era of reality TV at the, really at the dawn of this type of competition television, where we were also watching shows like The Swan and Extreme Makeover,
Hot or Not,
and Hot or Not, Biggest Loser. Like all of the shows at that time, not all of them, but many of them, capitalized on insecurities, on trauma, made us to feel like you had to change who you were to be relevant, to be validated, all those things. There was a lot of gross stuff going on reality TV at that time. And as much as like this is so horrific, and we'll get into the horrific of it all, like imagine that people on The Swan were given full plastic surgery makeovers, told they were ugly and needed to change, literally physically altering themselves for entertainment, right?
Yep.
So yes, of course we should have known better. It was a different time, and I think part of that gives it a pass that it was a different time and we were so inundated with it. But now we are where we are.
We are where we are. But also there were people, and I'm talking about executives at networks, who weren't 18 years old.
Right.
Allie. These were fully formed adults who could have most likely maybe had children of their own, who had a more developed sense of morals and what's right and what's wrong. And they were the ones pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's what we really learned here. This show, and the reasons it went as far as it did, was this was ratings at all costs.
Definitely.
We are going to keep people hooked. This is the biggest show in the world. Push, push, push.
Yeah.
More, more, more.
Yes.
And, Tyra, I think, did the same thing at all costs. Tyra this was her baby. And she was going to do whatever it took to make sure this show stayed on top. Now, when we see the show open up, we see Tyra talk about her intention behind making it, which I thought was, good. It was an intention that felt like her heart was in the right place. She wanted to show behind the scenes of the modeling world, but also change the industry and beauty standards.
Challenge the status quo.
Right. And she wanted to see more representation in body diversity and ethnic backgrounds. And, we also saw gay representation for the first time on TV with Jane Manuel and Miss J. So there was there was some good there to start.
The nugget came from, I think, a decent place.
Yeah.
And then I think what happened was a monster was created on the backs of these poor women who were absolutely traumatized.
But then when we see her in the documentary and she's asked about some of those things, she says things like, "That's not my territory." Those were the words she used when asked about problematic photo shoots and girls being recorded at times. They absolutely should not have been recorded and being forced to make confessionals and to reveal parts of themselves. Like, just so awful. Shandy's story in particular. That's not my territory. Hands off. And it's like, so what are you? Are you the mind behind this? Are you a producer of this? Or are you I was just the host?
Well, she wants to take credit for all the good things.
Exactly.
Right? Getting a plus size woman winning the competition one season. She wants to take credit for the good, but when it comes to the bad, so let's name it about Shandy.
Let's name it.
Because maybe people haven't seen exactly like the whole thing. So Shandy was a contestant on cycle 2, I believe.
I remember watching that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The contestants all go to Italy, and they're driven around on their go-sees by these men on mopeds. The producers decide, let's bring the guys from the mopeds into the house and let them party.
Yeah.
And they filmed the whole party.
Yep.
And in that party, Shandy, who says none of them got any food that day, proceeds to drink 2 bottles of wine, get blackout wasted.
Blackout.
And proceed to have a sexual encounter with this man in a way that doesn't sound like it was consensual. That's just like it's not named, but it is implied that it was non-consensual because she was so drunk that she couldn't possibly have consented.
Yes.
They shot the whole thing. They didn't stop it.
Nope.
They didn't help her. They didn't help her in hindsight. Instead, they aired it and they also named it as cheating.
Yep.
And sort of like labeled her a bit of a villain.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the recording of it because when they were asked about it in the documentary, the excuse that they gave was these girls knew this was a documentary we were making. If you went into a washroom alone, you weren't filmed.
Right.
But when she went into a washroom with a man,
Right. Oopsie.
all bets are off.
Yeah.
You're being filmed. That to me was so despicable.
Right.
To double down on the wrong when you had an opportunity in that moment to say that was the wrong thing to do.
100%.
I live with that awful decision I made back then, and I've done everything I can to make amends and make that right. We didn't hear any of that. We just heard this is what they signed up for. This is what the rules were. So we went on in and we recorded it. So yes, back to, and then they labeled her the cheater because she had a boyfriend at the time.
Right. They labeled her the cheater. They forced her to call him on camera and confess this quote unquote infidelity.
Yep.
And essentially, you know, she was sort of like the laughingstock of America on the show.
Yeah.
She participates now 20 years later. Clearly her life has been changed for the worse by this show.
No good came of it.
No good. It just feels like she's really never been able to really like recover from this trauma.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant when I said we're here now. I don't mean like they get a pass because we didn't know then what we know now.
No, of course.
What I meant was we're here now, and what they could have done today with our lens of today, even if back then they didn't know better, but now they do.
That's right.
Any other response from them other than being horrified,
Right,
is the wrong answer.
100%.
Like to quote you from last week, where's the outrage from the people who participated in this?
All I heard was excuse. This was the time we were living in.
Deflection.
You know, deflection. It was not me. It was them. There was maybe one tiny moment of we could have done that. Maybe that wasn't the right thing, or that's the one thing I didn't feel great about.
Right.
There's dozens of examples per season of things that were so wrong, and they had a chance here in this documentary to say we really screwed up and we feel terrible and we're working on reparation and we're working on figuring out ways in which we can never make it right and
be
we
a
can't
part of the
but be a part of healing or something.
Yeah.
There was doubling down on the wrong that was so egregious to me.
Yes.
And I'm looking at Tyra, but I'm looking at everybody. Because Tyra was, I think, the most outrageously wrong in her stance in the documentary.